So you have options for removing the head bolts. You need an E12 socket. They make this special long socket that just kind of fits in there. Or you can just use a normal E12 socket on an extension. That works too. So what I want to do is break the head bolts loose, and then I'm going to recheck the torque. The torque procedure is usually 40 Newton meters, then another 90 degrees, then another 90 degrees. And that is the proper way to do it. But the final torque ends up being something around like 60 foot-pounds, you know? So I think if we recheck to 60, that's going to be enough to kind of tell us if we're still good, you know, or if the threads have pulled out. So, I mean, I'm hoping that all the threads are good because it's just less work to do. But the other part of me is hoping that they're not good so that we can do that video. They're probably bad. Wow. So, you know, it's about 81 Newton meters. So that one torqued up just fine. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to recheck all the torque, and, you know, basically you should just go opposite. Not that it's really going to matter because we're just doing one at a time like that, but I suppose that we could just break all of them loose and then just kind of retorque them back into place, which, I don't know, I might do it that way for speed, but the way you should do this, the procedure, is to just work from the outside in. So just do this side, jump to that side, and then work your way into the middle. So I just got done torquing all of them again. Of course, they all torque down fine. So I guess they're fine, you know? I mean, that was the thing. I did that on my engine, and later came to find out they were not fine. They just were able to go through that like one more torquing. But these ones, these feel great. They don't feel, I mean, I can tell the resistance now. I can just kind of tell what it feels like at this point. And they don't feel bad. It doesn't feel like this thing was massively overheated. So maybe that's a really good thing, you know? Maybe we're going to find a relatively flat head. But what I'm going to do now is remove all of the head bolts again. And the thing is, if this thing needs to be resurfaced, the machine shop wants these cams out of here for the price. You know, I was talking to them, and for the price, they wanted me to remove the cams and stuff, which I have a separate video on how to do. You don't need to do it though, if you're just gonna like take the head off and put it back on, just change the gasket, you know, if you're gonna do one of those jobs. You don't need to do anything with the cams. Obviously you saw I was able to access every one of the bolts. As long as the cams are in just the right position, you'll see that there are little cutouts on the side. There's like one right here, you can feel it. As long as they're in the right position, the proper position, where the little two dots on the back of the camshafts, there are two dots on the back right here and right here. That's the up position. As long as they're in that position, you'll be able to get this tool in there and access every one of those bolts like you saw. So you want to use a magnet to get all of the bolts out. I don't think I unscrewed that one quite all the way. So one of these head bolts had that shmoo on it. So there's a clue. What are we going to find when we take this thing off? There are also washers, which we're going to leave down in there because we can't actually get them out probably. It's okay. They can stay down in there. So a couple of last things. This is the coolant pipe that goes into the side of the head. So I'm going to take this 10 mil bolt off. This lower one right here goes into the block. We can leave that one alone. So we just need to take this one off. Now this is where it's going to crumble, or it might, depending on the age, but it probably will. I'm also going to remove that zip tie because there is a bolt right there, which I'm also going to take off, and then another one over there. So I'm going to remove those bolts and get that hard pipe out of there. And I'm also going to remove this thermostat housing. So we've just got 10 mil bolts. I already took off the 13 right here. So it definitely broke off, as you see right here. It's supposed to have a longer end with double O-rings on it. So that got stuck off and broken off into the head. So definitely need to replace this. And I'm going to replace the bottom one that goes into the actually, You know, I'm kind of nervous about doing that because I don't want to have to dig the old part out of there. I think I'll probably do it anyway because I think they come in pairs. So yeah, it's just the one bolt on the back. This one is for the knock sensor, so just leave that one alone. So one thing we'll do is slip this down. You can see our head's loose. So what I will need to do is actually disconnect the exhaust manifolds at the rest of the exhaust. There are going to be 4 15s. Now, if you're going to do it this way, you want to do that first because you're probably in a different part of the country I am. I'm in California, Southern California, which is like outer space as far as I'm concerned. Exhaust bolts are never a problem, but I'm sure if you're like in middle America or something, they're a problem. So you want to get those off first and make sure that you're all good there. Okay guys, I've jacked up the car and I've gone up underneath it and I've removed the O2 sensors. They were stuck into right here and then in the back right here. So to do that, I just used a wrench, 22 mil wrench for that one. And then I used this sort of socket to get back here, to get up back here on that one. So those are just kind of dangling right now, and on the newer M54s that are running MS45, you've got these color-coded wires. So the gray is going to be the number 2, and the black is going to be the number 1. The way you tell, you look at the manifolds, and you can tell this is number 1 manifold because it goes to the number 1 to number 3 cylinders. The one on the back is 4 through 6. So that's the number 2. So the black one goes here, and that's where they will be when you take them off. So just remember where they go. I've also removed the bolts for the exhaust manifolds to where they connect to the rest of the exhaust. We're not going to take the rest of the exhaust with us. So there's one bolt here, there's one in the back, one here, and then one in the back. Use an impact wrench and or impact gun, and you'll be fine. You'll get those off. Hopefully. Actually, I should say, hopefully you're not in a really, really crusty, rusty environment. If you are, you've got to use heat. You've got to use, you know, whatever method you can, but heat always works best in rusty environments. Heat it up, get some MAP gas, and just heat the bolt up, try to get it red hot, and then you can get it off. And if that doesn't work, you can use some candle wax to kind of quench it, and as it's cooling, as you just touch the candle to the red hot bolts, it'll sort of suck the candle wax up into the threads, and that acts as like a natural lubricant. So that's the best method for getting those off. So I also removed the lower splash panel down here so I could get a better look at the exhaust manifolds and what's going on with them. As you can see, we could possibly get access to those bolts, those 2 lower bolts, but you can see that the 2 forward bolts on that manifold are hidden by this manifold right here. See, that's why you got to get this one out first so that you can expose all the lower bolts that are kind of hiding up above it, right? So if you want to get this manifold off, look right here, look, all this stuff is in the way, which is a pain in the butt. So this is the engine mount right here. You can take off the engine mount bracket, which is usually what you have to do with like an E46. And then since this is an all-wheel drive, we would basically need to take the axle, the CV axle out, and then also the carrier right here. So the carrier, as you can see, is bolted to the side of the pan. You got 1, 2, and then 3, 4 along the front. I would remove those things just so I would be able to get access up in there and remove the bolts for that manifold up there. You can see like through here we can barely see the 2 bottom ones. It's possible that we could get the other 2 bottom ones from up top, but it's extremely difficult and things are just blocked. So I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to remove all these components down here, and it's just, you know, pain in the butt, especially to remove the axle and, you know, all that. That's just, it's more extra work. So we're just going to try to lift the head and the exhaust manifolds out together. I think we're just going to try to lift them up a little bit so that we can get access to the bolts, and then we'll remove the bolts and everything should be okay. All right guys, for better or worse, this is how I'm doing it. This is the engine support bar from Harbor Freight. Best 60 bucks I ever spent. Used it so many times. I've got a chain strung from either end, This one, obviously, I've just hooked it onto this stud right here. It should be fine. I don't think it's gonna really do any damage. It's not that heavy. And back there, I've just got one of the head bolts just kind of screwed in, and that's holding the chain down. It's just big enough to sort of hold the chain in. So that's what we're doing, and should be interesting. So we've got it up, and we're moving it up. I've got a little thrust bearing in here, which I'll show you later. It just makes it so much easier to turn this. I can see it's leaking all of that pink crap onto the ground, so that stuff was all over the place. Looks like we're not over the guide right here yet, and we're coming up against the AC line. So maybe I'll help it a little. I don't want to break the guide, you know? Don't want to damage anything that I don't have to. Let's see here. Wow, yeah, the cooling system was just completely full of that pink crap. It's kind of a wow situation. When I look down below, I see the catalytic converter is like the big obstruction. Things sort of need to pull up. It would be nice if they pulled up right now. See, kind of like that. You know, generally now that I have things like this, if I can just sort of get them to stay like this. Is this tightening? Yeah, this is tightening. I'd like this to just hold up. Hold things up like this, you know, that much. And now I've got room. I can get down below. I can get to all of the bolts of the exhaust manifolds way more easily. So I'm just going to spend time getting all those bolts off now that I can see them and get them off. You want the nuts to come off. You don't want the studs to come out with them, but that just happens when you're doing exhaust bolts sometimes. But it would be nice to have the studs, you know, stay in there. See if we can move this up any further. Now we're sort of propped up, and I'm not too upset about this because we've got the gasket there, but you don't want to go scratching things. That's the thing. So, you know, if you can't be propped up with something like this, which I didn't like the way that slid like that, but I would suggest putting like a block of wood between the head and the block, like a 2x4 or something. That'll just definitely protect things. In fact, I probably should do that right now just to make sure. So I'm gonna go get that just for some added extra protection. Yeah, nice 2x4 as a barrier. Look at that. Ew. Ew. See, this is kind of what you'd be struggling with if you wanted to take it out. If you just kind of wanted to pick it up and take it out this way, which is entirely possible. I recommend you have help when doing it that way. It's just really difficult to maneuver the exhaust manifolds out because they're really big. And you got to get them past the mounts and stuff, and that's kind of the issue that we're having here. Getting them past the engine mounts. The engine mount and the axle that's down there. In fact, I guess we're probably past that. I don't really want to do it this way, but let's see if I can just lift up and I guess muscle this thing out of here. Yeah, all right, this one's okay, I suppose, but I don't want to scratch the bottom of it, so like that. Okay, it's mine. So on the X3, it was pretty easy to do that because there's a lot of room right here. See all this big gap you have right here? That's actually really nice. On a 5 Series, you do not have that room. It's just so much more compact and stuff, and it's really a pain in the butt. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend taking down the plate, that's on the bottom of there so that you don't get hung up on that. But yeah, generally you can just kind of lift down and pull that out of there, I suppose. Man, look at all this pink crap. What caused this? This is so strange. At this point, it's getting down into the engine, down into the where the oil is. So I'm going to have to pull the oil pan off in order to figure out what's going on there. So yeah, wow, man, this is pretty bad. And I'm actually questioning and wondering if I can clean this thing out properly with it still in the car. Well, you know what? We're gonna have to do it that way. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn the engine over. Gotta get that pin out of there. Turn the engine over a couple of times to just help it push all this pink crap out. I'm gonna spend some time cleaning this out. So this is definitely not how I expected this rebuild to go. I have spent some time, I pulled the garden hose over here with, on full blast, and I just kind of squirted it in every channel and just squirted all that pink crap out of everywhere. And then I kind of washed everything down, and then I took the radiator out, I took it's basically in every single cooling hose. It's in everything. So I've spent some time taking all of that out. I posted a picture of this when it had the pink coolant in it. I posted a picture on this automotive technicians Facebook group that I'm a part of, and asking if anybody had ever seen it before. A bunch of guys responded initially saying they thought it was a bad automatic transmission cooler, and they said that was ATF fluid mixed with coolant. So that was really interesting. And then, I don't know, an hour later, some admin banned me from the group, apparently, for posting that picture. So that's as much as I'm going to find out from those guys. But if that be the case, that's kind of really, really bad. That's more than I bargained for on this whole job. What I need to do now is jack this thing up and drain the automatic transmission fluid and see what's going on in there. Because if we've got, this gunky stuff in the transmission, that's just that's way more than I thought was going to happen on this rebuild. So I really want to find that out, and yeah, so we'll do that. But before we start messing around with the transmission and stuff, I want to address the head. I've pulled the cams out, obviously. And what I did was I took some lacquer thinner and I just cleaned this area away right here, because we want to measure for warpage right here. This is just the most critical point. If it's good here, then it's going to be good everywhere else. And I've got a 1.5 thousandths, which is a 0.04 millimeter, and it ain't going through anywhere, which is really good. That's good news. That means that this head did not warp. If this thing overheated, which it probably did because it's got all that gunk in the cooling system, it wasn't that bad. So that is a really good thing. That means less money needs to be spent at the machine shop. I'm just going to have them clean this. They're not going to need to resurface it, and I'm not going to have them pressure test it because it didn't overheat. So I'm going to do all that. I'm just going to have the machine shop clean it. It should be, I don't know, probably $50. So that's good news. So I've been shooting this particular video over a couple of days now. I'm not even sure how long it's going to run. It might end up being a two-parter. I really don't know, but we got to end it here before we can just move on with the other parts of the rebuild process. That white stuff is pretty crazy. I really have not seen anything like that before. From the little research I've been able to do, a lot of people think it's oil mixed with the coolant somehow. And I tend to discount engine oil mixed with coolant because we know what that looks like. It clogs up the CCV and it turns into a yellowish white sort of milkshake paste like that, not a pinkish white milkshake paste. So that right there makes me think it's not engine oil, okay? So it could be ATF mixed with the coolant. It could be a leak in the ATF cooler. I've pulled that out. I'm going to check it. I'm going to vacuum test both sides to make sure both sides hold vacuum, because if there's a hole between both sides and coolant's leaking out or ATF is leaking into the coolant side, it's not going to hold vacuum. So I will test that. I will figure that out. I'll replace it if necessary. It also could be some kind of a stop leak product. You know, that's kind of what I'm maybe thinking. I don't really know, but it could be that. It also could be that somebody, you know, just mistakenly put ATF fluid or tried to fill, you know, maybe they thought they were filling power steering fluid and they mistakenly poured power steering fluid or ATF into the radiator expansion tank. So it could be that that's what happened. I mean, it kind of, when the stuff settles out and it settles down and it stops being that whitish paste, or when I start to sort of rinse it away, or some of it has like sort of, I've tipped the radiator over and I've seen some of it kind of leak out, it's definitely kind of reddish and it looks like it was fresh ATF. You know, the thing about the transmission in this car is that the transmission fluid at this point looks dark brown. You know, that's what it looks like after a long period of time. It doesn't look bright red as if somebody changed the transmission fluid. So that's another clue. That's why I kind of tend to discount problems with the ATF cooler. I think it's, you know, it looks like fresh ATF fluid was poured into the radiator somehow, and that's what happened. So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. We're just going to have to go on and see from here, but this is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.